Hello everyone. For this lecture, we will be talking about the cell theory, and we will talk about the different parts of the cell, what is it made of, the functions of those organelles that you can find within the cell, and we will be differentiating an animal cell to a plant cell. So first up, cell is the basic unit of life. So basically, this is for some the smallest structure that you can find within the body. Our body is made up of different cells, multiple cells, and some organisms may survive even if they are a single-celled organism. But for organisms that are multicellular, like humans or other animals, it has to be in an environment where it could survive, and it needs other cells for it to survive. All organisms are composed of cells. So all living things are composed of cells. Some organisms are, as what I've said, unicellular, like bacteria, amoeba. They are single-celled organisms, and some are multicellular, like the humans, plants, as well as animals, other animals. So cell is the fundamental structure and functional unit of all living organisms. So if cell is only visible when you look at it in under a microscope, so with our visible eyes, we won't be able to see the structures within the cells, and we won't be able to visualize it with just our naked eye. So this is a diagram which shows the different organelles or the different parts that you would be able to find within the cells. We have the nucleus, which is found at the center. So within the nucleus, you can also find the nucleolus, where the DNA or the information about that specific cell is contained. The endoplasmic reticulum, cytoplasm, cell membrane, ribosomes, vacuole, Golgi apparatus, chromosomes, nucleolus, yeah, centriole, mitochondrion, and nuclear membrane. So those are the different parts, and these are the functions of those specific cells. For the cell membrane, it controls what enters and leaves the cell. So as you can see on the diagram, it is the one that surrounds the cell. So mura siyang protective cover or protective layer to be able to limit what are the chemicals or the compounds that would be able to enter the cell, because some compounds might be toxic for the cell, and some cells, the cell might also need to excrete some of those that is found within. So through the cell membrane, it will allow the passage of those um, molecules or components, what enters and what exits the cell. Same thing with the nuclear membrane. It is also the protective covering of the nucleus, so it also limits what enters within the nucleus and what leaves from the nucleus. Yeah, the nucleus is the control center of the cell, and the chromosomes is the genetic information of the nucleus. So these chromosomes are found within the nucleus, and they contain the DNA, as what they say, because it is the unique information of that specific cell. The ribosomes, the endoplasmic reticulum is the transport system in the cell, while the ribosomes are the organelles that makes proteins. So proteins are very important because they are vital in order for that cell to function. The Golgi body is an organelle that packages those proteins and then delivers it to the specific location. These vacuoles store water and wastes. So these wastes will be excreted at some point from the cell. Lysosomes break down old cell parts because um just like the human body, 'di ba? Our cells regenerate. So once na they are old na and they cannot function, it has to be broken down into for instance, sa cell, it's the lysosomes that does the job. And then that will be excreted away from that cell through the cell membrane afterwards. The mitochondria is an organelle for cellular respiration and provides energy of the cell. So sabi nga nila, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Without it, the function of the cell won't be possible, because energy is very important in order for the organelles to do their specific functions, and so that the cell will be healthy and would be able to survive. So comparing a plant cell to an animal cell, as you can see from this diagram, the vacuole and the cell wall and chloroplast, these are specific within the plant cell because human or animal cells does not have the cell wall, and we don't also have the chloroplast. So the chloroplast makes the plants green. So di ba dili man wala man tay parts na color green. So we don't have those components. Chloroplast is important for the plants to survive. It makes it green, and it is important for their photosynthesis and other functions for them to get energy and for the cell to for the plant itself to survive. So all the cells are composed of molecules and atoms. So sabi nila, cell is the smallest structure within the body. Pero if we will dig deeper, it will be the atoms or the molecules. So molecules are built made up of atoms, and atoms, these are the elements that could be found, like the phosphorus, like oxygen, hydrogen. So those are very important para makabuo ng cells. So for example, molecules. So this is, for example, water. It's made up of H2O. So that is hydrogen and oxygen. So water is important for cells. So in order to survive, there should be water present within or inside the cell. After that, cells that are built up together, or cells that are built up together will then form a tissue. So a tissue is composed of different multiple cells with the same functions, because the human body, we are composed of different tissues. So we have tissues that makes up our muscles, tissues that makes up our skeletal system, tissues that makes up our organs, our heart, our liver, our kidneys, and so on. So that is different tissues, pero once they are similar in function and they are built up together, they will form a specific organ. So that is, for example, the heart, the stomach, the skin, your heart, your what else? Lungs, your blood. So those are organs, considered as organs. And when we talk about organ system, it is composed of the different organs, or a group of organs that serves the same or similar function. For example, the digestive system, or our digestive system. So this is composed of the intestines, your stomach, your mouth, and this functions to digest the food that you eat. So everything that you eat, it will enter your mouth, your stomach, and then your intestines, your large and small intestines. So the digestive system is composed of different organs, pero those organs are they have one function, that is to digest the food, and they will absorb and excrete the food that we eat. So the human body, or the organisms, or any animal, is composed of different organ systems. We have multiple organ systems that serves different functions, and those are very vital and important in order for a human being or an organism to survive. So one example there is the digestive system. These are the four common molecules or compounds that are important in order to form a cell. So we need proteins, lipids, nucleic acid, and carbohydrates. So these are very important para makabuild up taog cells. Without these components, without these compounds, it's not possible to for a cell to survive or even be formed in the first place. According to famous scientists, Theodor Schwann, all organisms are made of one or more cells. So that is true because other organisms, like the bacteria, as what we mentioned a while ago, they can survive even if they are single celled. And for humans and animals and plants, in order for them to survive, they contain multiple cells, which will then form a specific tissue, specific organ, and so on. Cells are the basic building blocks of life, and that is true because without the cells, it won't be able to create a specific tissue or specific organ that would serve a very important role in our body. And according to Rudolf Virchow, all cells come from existing cells. So this theory comes from the theory of cell division, that a single cell could multiply into multiple cells. So that is according to the theory of meiosis and mitosis. If you are aware of that, for cell division, during the fertilization of an egg cell and a sperm cell, it will create an embryo, a single cell organism. After how many days, it will become a multi-celled organism due to cell division, because the cells will divide and multiply until it forms a specific organism, and that is the human baby, or a human. So once again, cell is composed or built by different molecules, such as so take note of these four: proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates, and nucleic acid. So that builds up the cell. This is the structural and functional unit of a living organism. And cells create tissues, which is group of cells with similar structures working together to perform a shared function. So for example of those tissue is our skin, our tissue from in sa atong heart, and our muscles. So those tissues will become an organ um, if they are built up together, and this structure made up of a group of tissues working together to perform specific function. So for example, the stomach, your intestines, they are built up of unique tissues that could perform their tasks. And an organ, a group of organs will build an organ system which serves related functions working together to perform body functions. So for example, the excretory system, your reproductive system, their function is for the reproduction. You have the cardiovascular, respiratory, for your breathing and consumption of oxygen from the air. You have your nervous system, and these systems, multiple systems, will create an organism or a specific individual or an animal. So for example, these are the tissues that could be found within an animal tissue or humans. So we have the adipose. These are the fats, adipose tissue, the nervous tissue, which can be found within our nervous system, the bone tissue, which is found in our skeletal system, our blood. This is a tissue which is important for delivering oxygen within our body. Epithelial tissues, or the skin or the linings of our organs and our body, the muscle tissues, connective tissues, and cartilage tissues which could be found within our skeletal system, which connects one bone to another bone. For animal tissues, as you can see, they are very similar. All the tissues that we have from our body could also be found from other animals. Some might be not present because of their unique characteristics. So the human organs, we have the intestines, the liver, the lungs, stomach, kidneys, bladder, thyroid, heart, and the brain. So this organ is composed of tissues with similar functions or structures. So these are the different systems, organ systems that we have in our body. The muscular system, this is a very important for the movement and our build. So the skeletal system also for the movement and the structure of our body. Circulatory system circulates blood throughout the different parts of the body to provide oxygen. We have the nervous system, which is the main control system of our body, our brain. So without it, we won't be able to think properly. The lymphatic system, which is a network of vessels that collects fluid from tissues and returns it to the blood. So this is important for our body to fight against infections or different illnesses. The respiratory system, on the other hand, is our breathing system, which we get oxygen from breathing, and then we excrete carbon dioxide when we exhale. So that's important because our tissues, our cells need oxygen, and through the respiratory system and the circulatory system, they will deliver those oxygen to the different cells that is found within the body. The endocrine system is a body processes such as growth and energy, because this provides or creates the hormones that is needed for our body to mature, to grow, and of course to release those chemicals. For example, when we eat chocolate, so it will release the hormones called oxytocin, which or dopamine, which excites our body, which makes us feel excited and sometimes addicted to it. Next is the digestive system. This is the absorption of minerals and whatever important chemicals that our body needs from the food that we eat. And also this system will also excrete those wastes after the absorption of nutrients. So we also have the excretory system or urinary system. This is very important because this filters out all the wastes from our blood and excretes it through urination. And lastly, the reproductive system, which is also very important because this will help us reproduce if you want to have kids. So this is very important because once male and female genitalia meets, this will create a new life. So once again, our cells is composed of molecules, and these molecules composed of atoms. The most important function of this, the most important molecules are the four that we mentioned a while ago. These are the proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, and nucleic acid. So those four are very important in order to create a cell. And these cells, once cells with the same similar structure and functions build up together, they will create a tissue. Those tissue with the same functions and structure will form an organ. And these organs with the same structures and functions will create an organ system, and organ systems throughout the different parts of the body will create an organism. So basically that is all about it. And you can always visit other references, other books or websites and videos which will help you explain or understand more about the function of our cells. That's all for this lecture. Thank you so much.